Have you ever had those days when everything feels heavy and even the simplest task feels impossible? You wake up tired, the world feels overwhelming, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't find the motivation to move forward. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. In fact, it's one of the most common struggles people face, feeling stuck, unmotivated, and unsure how to break free. Most of us, when we hit this low point, fall into the same cycle. We shut down. We stay silent. We avoid our responsibilities, hoping that maybe if we wait long enough, motivation will eventually show up and rescue us. But here's the harsh truth: motivation rarely comes first. Waiting for it only keeps us trapped in a loop of procrastination and self-blame. Psychology tells us something different, something powerful. Research shows that taking small intentional actions, what experts call micro-actions, can actually trigger dopamine, the feel-good chemical in your brain. And when dopamine rises, energy and hope follow. It's not motivation that leads to action. It's action that sparks motivation. Even something as small as making your bed, washing a few dishes, or taking a 2-minute walk can shift your mental state in ways you'd never expect. And I want you to hear this clearly. If you've been feeling low, unmotivated, or stuck, you are not broken, and you are definitely not alone. Everyone goes through seasons like this. The difference between staying trapped and moving forward isn't about waiting for inspiration. It's about learning to act, even when you don't feel like it. So stay with me until the end of this video, because today I'm going to show you how taking action itself, not waiting for motivation, can be the key to healing, rebuilding your energy, and moving your life forward, one small step at a time. Let's dive into the first big idea: why action is more important than how you feel in the moment. Here's something most people don't realize: your brain isn't designed to make you happy, it's designed to keep you safe. That means it often resists change, effort, or anything uncomfortable. So when you're feeling bad, unmotivated, or stuck, your brain will whisper, "Rest. Wait. Don't do anything yet." And if you listen to that voice, you stay exactly where you are trapped. But science shows us that the way out isn't by waiting to feel better first. It's by acting first, even when you don't feel ready. Here's the psychology behind it. When you complete a small action, something as simple as washing a dish, folding your blanket, or making your bed, your brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter often called the reward chemical. Dopamine is what gives you that little spark of accomplishment, that tiny rush that says, "Yes, I did something." And that spark, no matter how small, can change your emotional state. It's like a chain reaction. Action comes first. Dopamine rises. Energy and motivation follow. This flips the script we've been taught. Most of us believe I need to feel motivated before I can act. But the truth is the opposite. I need to act first, and motivation will follow. Let me give you an everyday example. Imagine you're sitting on the couch feeling drained, staring at a pile of dirty dishes in the sink. The longer you sit, the heavier it feels. But if you just stand up, walk to the sink and wash one dish, just one, you instantly feel lighter. That small action breaks the mental paralysis. You start to think, "Okay, maybe I can do a few more." And before you know it, you finish the dishes and feel a sense of control again. The situation hasn't changed, you have. This isn't just about chores. It's about reclaiming your power when your emotions try to hold you hostage. Philosophers knew this long before modern science proved it. The Stoics believed that we shouldn't be ruled by fleeting feelings. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, often reminded himself that discipline and action, not moods, determine a meaningful life. He wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What he meant was, simple feelings are temporary, but actions build character. Modern psychology agrees. In cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, one of the most effective treatments for anxiety and depression, therapists teach something called behavioral activation. The idea is that when you feel stuck in negative emotions, the fastest way to shift your mood isn't to wait for inspiration, but to intentionally do something small. Call a friend, go for a short walk, tidy your space. Those actions rewire your thought patterns, showing your brain that you are capable, even when you don't feel like it. And here's the interesting part. You don't need to believe in it for it to work. Even if you feel resistant, even if you think, this is pointless, the very act of doing it still triggers change. Action doesn't wait for belief, it creates belief. Now let's get personal. Think about the last time you were in a rut. Maybe it was a Sunday when you felt lazy, unmotivated, and guilty for not doing more. What finally shifted your day? Was it waiting until you magically felt better? Or was it when you pushed yourself to take a small step, maybe a shower, maybe making lunch, maybe sending that one email you'd been avoiding? Chances are the action came first and the positive feeling came after. And that's the pattern we need to remember. Action leads, feelings follow. Let me share a simple mental trick you can use right away. I call it the 2-minute rule. Whenever you feel paralyzed by low energy or lack of motivation, tell yourself, I'll just do this for 2 minutes. 2 minutes of stretching, 2 minutes of cleaning, 2 minutes of writing. Often those 2 minutes snowball into 20 or even an hour. But even if they don't, you've already won because you acted. And that victory compounds over time. Here's another thought to consider. If you acted every time you felt motivated, you'd maybe show up 20% of the time. But if you acted regardless of motivation, even just in tiny steps, you'd show up close to 100% of the time. Which version of you do you think will transform your life? So the next time you feel heavy, unmotivated, or stuck, remember this truth. You don't need to feel good to take action. You take action to feel good. It's not about pretending your feelings don't exist. It's about refusing to let them dictate your entire life. Because when you act in spite of your feelings, you begin to reclaim control. And that's where healing starts, not in waiting, but in doing. When you're feeling bad, drained, stuck, or unmotivated, the last thing you want to hear is someone telling you to just snap out of it. Because if it were that easy, you'd already be doing it right. The truth is, when your energy's low, even small things can feel overwhelming. That's why the secret isn't to do something big, it's to start with small, practical actions that create momentum. Let's break this down into 4 categories: your body, environment, mind, and connections. Your body and mind are deeply connected. If your body feels sluggish, your mind will follow. But the good news is, you don't need an intense workout or an expensive gym session to feel better. All it takes is a few minutes. Try going for a 5 to 10-minute walk. Step outside even if it's just around your block. Feel the air on your skin, notice the colors around you, hear the rhythm of your footsteps. Walking isn't just movement, it's medicine. Studies from Stanford University show that walking can boost creative thinking by up to 60%. Even better, it lowers stress hormones and helps your nervous system reset. If walking isn't an option, try a few gentle stretches, or even just standing up to roll your shoulders, touch your toes, or reach your arms overhead. When you stretch, you send a message to your brain, I'm still here. I'm alive. I'm moving forward. And don't underestimate the power of deep breathing. Close your eyes, take a slow inhale through your nose for a count of 4, hold for 4, and exhale through your mouth for a count of 6. Do that 3 times. Notice how your chest relaxes how your mind slows down. Breathing is one of the fastest ways to reset your nervous system, and it only takes a minute. So ask yourself, what's one tiny thing I can do with my body right now to shift my state? Sometimes, the smallest move is the most powerful. Have you ever noticed how your surroundings affect your mood? When your room or desk is messy, your mind feels messy too. When your space is clear, suddenly your thoughts have room to breathe. One simple action: clean your workspace. Put away a few papers, wipe down your desk, or just organize one corner. Don't think about cleaning the whole house, just one small area. The moment you see that clear space, your brain registers order and you feel more in control. Another easy step: open a window or let in natural light. Sunlight has a direct impact on your mood because it boosts serotonin, the chemical that makes you feel calm and happy. Even 5 minutes of sunlight on your skin can shift how you feel. You might be surprised how powerful these little environmental resets can be. Changing your space even slightly signals to your brain that change is possible. So the next time you feel stuck, look around and ask, what can I reset in my environment right now to create a little more clarity? When you're overwhelmed, your mind races with problems, most of which are outside your control. That's exhausting. But here's the truth: you don't have to control everything, you only need to focus on what you can control. Grab a piece of paper or open your notes app. Write down 3 things you can control right now. For example, I can drink a glass of water. I can send one email. I can step outside for 5 minutes. Notice how that list feels different from the spiral of worries in your head. It shifts your attention from helplessness to empowerment. You remind yourself, I can't control everything, but I'm not powerless either. This practice is rooted in both ancient wisdom and modern psychology. The Stoics called it the dichotomy of control, the idea that peace comes from focusing only on what's within your power. And in modern CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, therapists teach the same thing: break your worries down, identify the controllable pieces, and act on them. So when your mind feels heavy, ask yourself, what 3 things can I do right now, no matter how small, that are within my control? And then just pick one to start. Isolation makes feeling bad even worse. When we retreat into ourselves, our problems grow louder and heavier. But one of the quickest ways to lift your mood is to connect with another human being, even for just a few minutes. Pick up your phone and call a friend. Not for an hour-long therapy session, not to dump your problems. Just 5 minutes to say hi, check in, and remind yourself you're not alone. Sometimes simply hearing another voice can shift your entire perspective. And if calling feels like too much, send a text. Something simple like, hey, thinking of you. Hope you're doing well. Even a small gesture of connection helps break the cycle of isolation. And here's the magic: when you reach out to someone else, you often end up helping yourself too. We're wired for connection. As researcher Brené Brown puts it, we are hardwired to connect with others. It's what gives purpose and meaning to our lives. Even the smallest interaction can remind you that you matter, that you're part of something bigger. So ask yourself, who's one person I can reach out to right now, even for just 5 minutes? So here's the big idea: when you're feeling bad and unmotivated, don't aim for a giant breakthrough. Aim for small wins. Move your body, reset your space, focus your mind, reach out to someone. Each of these actions might feel tiny, but together they create momentum. And momentum is everything. It's what turns a heavy day into a lighter one, what shifts you from stuck to moving, from hopeless to hopeful. Remember, healing doesn't have to start with a huge leap. It starts with small, consistent steps. Let's talk about one of the biggest myths we've all been told, that you need motivation first in order to act. You've probably heard phrases like, wait until you're inspired, or I'll do it when I feel ready. But here's the problem. What happens on the days when you don't feel ready? What happens when you're tired, low, or unmotivated? If you wait for motivation, you might wait forever. The truth is, the opposite action creates motivation, not the other way around. Think about it. Like this, have you ever dreaded going to the gym, but once you finally got yourself moving, just tying your shoes, stepping on the treadmill, or lifting the first weight, you suddenly felt energized? That energy didn't exist before. It showed up after you acted. That's the loop we're talking about: action, energy, motivation, more action. So how do you break through that wall of resistance? When you're stuck, enter the 2-minute rule. Here's how it works. Whenever you feel paralyzed by procrastination, tell yourself you only have to do something for 2 minutes. Just 2. Don't commit to a full workout. Commit to putting on your sneakers and stretching for 2 minutes. Don't commit to writing a book. Commit to writing 1 sentence. Don't commit to cleaning the whole kitchen. Commit to washing just 1 plate. Here's the magic: once you've started, momentum kicks in. Washing 1 plate often turns into washing them all. Writing 1 sentence becomes a paragraph, then a page. That 2-minute walk can turn into 20 minutes without you even noticing. Why does this work? Because your brain is wired to resist big, overwhelming tasks. But when you lower the entry point to just 2 minutes, resistance disappears. Your brain thinks, oh, that's easy, I can do that. And by the time you start, you've already won. You've shifted from inaction to action. And that's where motivation is born. So next time you're stuck, ask yourself, what's the smallest 2-minute step I can take right now? Here's another truth. Small actions don't just create motivation in the moment, they build momentum over time. Think of habits like dominoes. The first one you tip might be tiny, but once it falls, it knocks over the next, then the next. Soon, those small actions have a domino effect, leading to bigger achievements than you thought possible. For example, imagine you commit to journaling for just 5 minutes every morning. At first, it feels small, hardly life-changing. But after a week, you notice your thoughts are clearer. After a month, you're making better decisions because you've trained your brain to reflect before reacting. After 6 months, you've filled a notebook with insights that shape how you live, work, and connect with others. That's the domino effect in action. Motivation grows not from giant leaps, but from consistent small wins. Each win gives you proof I can do this. And that proof builds confidence, which fuels even more action. This principle is everywhere in the lives of successful people. Many CEOs, athletes, and leaders don't start their day with motivation, they start with action. Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, is known to wake up around 4 a.m. to exercise and review his day. He doesn't wait to feel like it, he acts and energy follows. Richard Branson, founder of Virgin, has often said that his morning workout is what fuels his creativity and focus for the rest of the day. Countless entrepreneurs start their mornings by journaling for just 5 minutes. That small action sharpens their thinking and sets the tone for everything else. Notice the pattern. They don't wait for inspiration to strike. They act first, and their action creates the very motivation that carries them through the day. But this isn't just for CEOs or athletes. It works for all of us. You don't need to run a company or write a best-selling book to benefit. You just need to start where you are with what you have for 2 minutes. I want you to think about a time in your life when you didn't want to do something, but once you started, you actually enjoyed it. Maybe it was cleaning your house before guests arrived. Maybe it was cooking a meal when you were too tired to order takeout. Maybe it was finally sitting down to pay your bills. How did you feel once it was done? Relieved, energized, even proud of yourself. That's the proof right there, the action created, the motivation, not the other way around. And here's the kicker. Motivation that comes from action is far more reliable than motivation that comes from feelings, because feelings are unpredictable. But action, that's a choice you can make no matter how you feel. So what's the lesson here? Motivation is not a spark you wait for, it's a fire you build. And the way you build it is through small actions repeated daily. Start with a 2-minute rule. Build momentum with small wins. Let those wins knock down the bigger dominoes in your life. Watch as confidence and motivation grow, not because you waited for them, but because you created them. Remember this, you don't need to feel motivated to start. You need to start to feel motivated. So ask yourself right now, what's one 2-minute action I can take today to move forward? Don't wait. Just start. Because once you act, motivation will follow and your entire life can begin to shift. Let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something most people get wrong. We've been trained to believe that feeling bad or unmotivated is a sign of weakness or even failure. But what if that isn't true at all? What if those very moments aren't proof that you're broken, but signals that your body and mind are asking for care? Think about it this way. When your car runs low on gas, the fuel light comes on. You wouldn't curse the car or call it a failure, you'd take it as a signal to refill the tank. In the same way, feeling unmotivated, drained, or low doesn't mean you've failed. It means your inner fuel light is blinking, asking for attention. The problem is that many of us fight these feelings. We try to push them down, ignore them, or judge ourselves harshly for having them in the first place. Why can't I just get it together? Why do I always feel this way? But fighting your emotions often makes them louder. It's like pushing a beach ball underwater. The harder you push, the more it wants to burst back up. So what's the alternative? Instead of resisting your feelings, what if you redefined them? What if you saw those heavy, unmotivated days as an invitation to take small healing actions, motions? Even the painful ones are messengers. Sadness can be telling you that something needs to change. Fatigue can be telling you that you've been carrying too much for too long. A lack of motivation can be your mind's way of saying, slow down, reset, and take one small step at a time. Psychologists call this concept emotional reappraisal, learning to reinterpret what your feelings mean instead of automatically judging them. Instead of labeling your bad days as wasted days, you can choose to see them as opportunities to practice self-care and resilience. And this isn't just abstract theory. People who practice emotional reappraisal have been shown to handle stress better, recover faster, and maintain stronger relationships. Why? Because they stop fighting their feelings and start working with them. So how do you actually put this into practice? The answer is simple but powerful: use as small actions as a form of therapy. If you're feeling mentally heavy, don't aim to overhaul your life in one go. Instead, pick one micro-action that soothes or rebuilds you. Drink a glass of water. Step outside for 5 minutes. Write down one thought you're grateful for. Do a 2-minute stretch. Send a text to someone you care about. None of these will fix everything overnight. But each one is a form of gentle self-healing. Each one tells your brain, I'm listening, I'm responding, I'm still moving forward. This is how you shift the narrative. Feeling bad isn't a stop sign. It's a signal flare pointing you toward actions that rebuild you. Now let me ask you something. What if the very moments you feel worst are actually the best moments to practice small actions that rebuild you. Think about it. It's easy to take action when you're already feeling good, motivated, and strong. But when you take action while you're at your lowest, that's when the transformation truly begins. That's when you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your emotions, that you're capable of creating change, even in the middle of struggle. That's resilience. Not the absence of bad days, but the ability to keep moving in spite of them. I remember talking to someone who struggled with long periods of feeling unmotivated. They told me that the turning point came when they stopped asking, "How do I get rid of these feelings?" and started asking, "What are these feelings trying to tell me?" When they felt drained, it often meant they hadn't been sleeping well. When they felt stuck, it meant they were trying to control things outside their power. When they felt lonely, it meant they needed connection. By reframing their emotions as signals, they stopped seeing themselves as broken and started seeing themselves as human. And here's the part that really hit me. They said that their lowest days became their best practice ground. Because on those days, even the tiniest actions like making a sandwich or calling a friend felt like a victory. And those victories stacked up until they became a habit of resilience. This perspective isn't new. The Stoic philosophers Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus believed that our struggles weren't punishments, but opportunities. Marcus wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the very obstacle you face, the lack of motivation, the heavy mood, can become the path forward if you approach it differently. Instead of seeing it as a wall, see it as a doorway. So the next time you feel bad and unmotivated, don't rush to escape it or judge yourself for it. Pause. Listen. Ask, what is this feeling trying to tell me? And then take one small action in response. Not to bury the feeling, not to magically make it disappear, but to honor it and to show yourself that you can still move forward. Because healing doesn't mean never feeling bad again. Healing means learning how to respond to those feelings with compassion and action instead of judgment and paralysis. Let's flip the script together. Feeling bad and unmotivated isn't a failure, it's a signal. And every signal is a chance to respond, to rebuild, and to grow stronger. So here's my question for you. The next time you hit one of those low points, what's the one small action you'll choose as your therapy? Remember, your worst days don't define you. How you respond to them does. So here's the truth. Healing doesn't come from waiting. It doesn't come from hoping that one day you'll suddenly feel motivated again. Healing comes from doing, from the small, imperfect actions you take, even when you don't feel like it. Because even the tiniest step forward has the power to shift your state of mind. Think about it. Life doesn't transform in giant leaps. It transforms in the little decisions you make daily, especially on the days when it feels hardest. That moment you choose to drink a glass of water instead of scrolling endlessly. That choice to step outside for a 5-minute walk when your thoughts feel heavy. That decision to clear your desk, make your bed, or send a quick message to a friend. These aren't just small actions, they're proof that you're still moving, still capable, still alive. And here's the emotional truth. When you take action in the moments you feel weakest, you actually build the strongest version of yourself. Every small step becomes a quiet act of courage. And over time, those tiny steps add up to a life you're proud of. So don't wait. Choose one action right after this video ends. Maybe it's standing up to stretch. Maybe it's grabbing a notebook and writing down one thought. Maybe it's just walking into the kitchen to pour a glass of water. Whatever it is, do it now. If this message inspired you, I want you to be part of this community. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video and share in the comments. What's the one small action you'll take today when you're feeling low? Because your answer might just inspire someone else to take their first step too. Remember this, you don't need to feel good to act, you act to feel good. And that's where healing begins.